Coco Gauff, thanks for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So it's been a big year for you. Second Grand Slam title at the French Open in June. When you think about that, how do you reflect on that moment?
Yeah, winning that title was super important for me. I lost in the finals previously, so I didn't want that to be the last or the outstanding moment for me at that tournament in my career. So to do that was super cool for me. And yeah, I had like a lot of momentum going into that. So I was happy to win that.
Coco Gauff just landed on Forbes' prestigious 30 under 30 list, and you can practically feel the envy from players who didn't cut. This isn't just another tennis award or ranking. Forbes is recognizing Coco as one of the most influential young people across all industries, not just sports. Meanwhile, Aryna Sabalenka sits at home with her Grand Slam titles but no Forbes recognition. While Coco keeps racking up honors that aren't about court rankings, they're about cultural impact and business influence. Do you think Forbes made the right call featuring Coco Gauff on their 30 under 30 list over other top-ranked tennis stars?
Obviously, I think you've had so much success early on that we take for granted that you're only 21 years old. Where do you think you're at in terms of your career development, both on and off the court?
I think on court, I feel like so far away from my potential, which I guess if you asked me that before, I used to think, oh, like it's happening now, so I gotta capitalize the moment. But then I'm like looking at the tour and I'm seeing girls like really having their best results at like 25, 26. So I feel like in 4 years, I feel like I would be where I would like to be. But obviously that doesn't take away from everything I've done right now. But I think I'm just eager to improve and get better.
Forbes' 30 under 30 list is one of the most prestigious honors a young person can earn. It's not about who won the most tournaments last year or who holds the #1 ranking right now. It's about influence, impact, cultural relevance, and the potential to shape the future. The list highlights entrepreneurs, artists, activists, scientists, and athletes who are making waves beyond their own fields. Making that list means you're not just successful in your career, you're changing the game entirely. And Coco Gauff absolutely deserves to be on it. Aryna Sabalenka, meanwhile, is probably looking at that Forbes announcement and wondering what she needs to do to earn that kind of recognition. She's won Grand Slams, she's reached the #1 ranking, she's dominated on the court when healthy and available, but Forbes didn't call her, Forbes called Coco. And that has to sting because it highlights the difference between being a great tennis player and being a cultural icon who transcends the sport. The Forbes 30 under 30 list isn't awarded based on talent alone. If it were just about tennis skill, you could argue for including multiple players. But Forbes looks at the bigger picture. They're asking who's using their platform to make a difference, who's building a brand that will last beyond their playing days, who's crafting a vision for themselves and their generation, who's marketable, not just to tennis fans, but to the wider public. On all those counts, Coco wins, and it's not even close.
To switch gears a little bit, we're kind of in this moment where the popularity of women's sports is rapidly growing. Excuse me. Obviously, in terms of men's and women's tennis, there's still discrepancies, whether it's pay gap outside of Grand Slams or scheduling of matches. I'm curious, how do you see yourself using your platform to kind of advocate for these things, and where should we be focusing on?
Yeah, I mean, in Grand Slams, we're obviously there when it comes to the prize money, but in the tour, it's a very big gap. And I think the start is for sure targeting the combined events on ATP and W.
Coco's inclusion on Forbes' 30 under 30 list comes after a year where she won her second Grand Slam at the French Open, continued expanding her endorsement portfolio, gave thoughtful interviews about everything from tennis to social issues, and consistently carried herself like someone who understands being a professional athlete is more than just showing up and playing matches. She's building a legacy that will last long after she retires from tennis, and Forbes clearly recognizes that. The interview content that's been released shows exactly why Coco deserves this recognition. She talks about feeling far from her potential, even after winning 2 Grand Slams at just 21. She discusses learning from losses and using them to fuel future success. She's articulate about her journey, her influences, and her goals. That kind of self-awareness and ability to communicate is rare in athletes, especially those who achieve success as early as Coco. Sabalenka, on the other hand, has repeatedly shown she doesn't have that same level of maturity or media savvy. She makes excuses after losses. She's often unable to give credit to opponents who beat her. She doesn't present herself as someone thinking beyond the next match or the next ranking point. That's fine if all you want to be is a tennis player, but if you want to be the kind of influential figure Forbes celebrates, you need to bring more than that. The 30 under 30 list is also about potential and trajectory. Forbes isn't just recognizing what you've done, they're betting on what you're going to do. They're identifying people who will shape the next decade in their respective fields. Coco, at 21, with 2 Grand Slams and a rapidly growing platform, represents massive future potential. She's going to stay at the top of women's tennis for at least the next decade. She'll keep building her brand, speaking out on issues she cares about, and being a role model for the next generation. What makes this particularly brutal for Sabalenka is the timing. This comes after all the drama between her and Coco. After Sabalenka made excuses following her French Open final loss to Coco. After she showed she can't handle defeat gracefully. After she proved she doesn't have the off-court character that makes publications like Forbes celebrate someone. Now Forbes is explicitly saying Coco Gauff is one of the most influential young people in the world, and Sabalenka's name is nowhere to be found. The criteria for making the Forbes 30 under 30 list include innovation, disruption, and social impact. Coco checks all those boxes. She's changing how young black girls see themselves in tennis. She's using her platform to speak on issues beyond sports. She's building a business empire through strategic endorsements and partnerships. She's doing everything right to ensure she's not just a flash-in-the-pan tennis star, but a lasting cultural figure. Coco's story is also inherently more compelling from a media perspective. The sacrifices her parents made, moving from Georgia to Florida, living with grandparents to save money while pursuing her tennis dreams, her dad teaching himself tennis to coach her, and her mom giving up a teaching career to homeschool her. That's the kind of narrative that resonates beyond tennis fans. It's relatable, inspiring, and feels like the American dream in real time. Sabalenka doesn't have that kind of compelling backstory, or at least she hasn't shared one that resonates the same way. And even if she did, her behavior after losses and inability to show grace would undercut any goodwill that story might generate. Forbes wants to celebrate people who embody positive values and inspire others. Sore losers who make excuses don't fit that profile, no matter how many matches they win. The business side of the Forbes recognition can't be ignored either. Being named to the 30 under 30 list opens doors. It puts Coco in rooms with other young leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. It signals to potential partners and sponsors that she's not just an athlete, but a brand with long-term staying power. It elevates her beyond the sports world into broader business and cultural conversations. That's valuable in ways that go far beyond any individual tennis tournament. Sabalenka's endorsement deals and sponsorships are fine, but they're not on Coco's level. Brands want athletes with broad appeal and positive public images, and Coco delivers that in spades. Coco has both. Sabalenka has tennis results, but she lacks the universal appeal that makes her valuable to brands trying to reach beyond hardcore tennis fans. That gap in marketability directly affects who Forbes chooses to feature. The envy factor is real because Sabalenka knows she's the higher-ranked player right now. She's won more recently. By pure tennis metrics, you could argue she's having the better season. But none of that matters to Forbes. They're evaluating something completely different. They're not ranking tennis players. They're identifying cultural influencers. And on that measure, Coco is in a whole different stratosphere. What makes this Forbes recognition so satisfying is that it rewards qualities Coco has shown throughout her career: maturity, thoughtfulness, the ability to handle pressure and expectations with grace, and the willingness to use her platform for good. These aren't things you can fake. They're a genuine part of who Coco is. Forbes is recognizing that authenticity. Coco's comments in interviews about never wanting anyone to tell her to just do her sport highlight the mindset that makes her Forbes 30 Under 30 material. She understands that being a professional athlete gives her a platform, and she's intentional about using it to explore all parts of herself. That's exactly the kind of thinking that separates people who have long, influential careers from those who are just good at their sport. The contrast with how Sabalenka approaches her career is stark. She seems focused almost exclusively on tennis results, win matches, climb rankings, collect trophies. That's fine if all you want is a successful tennis career. But Coco is building something bigger. She's thinking about her legacy, her impact, her brand, her influence. That's why Forbes called her, and not Sabalenka. Coco's discussion about Serena Williams' influence also plays into why she's Forbes material. She talks about representation, about seeing someone who looked like her thriving in tennis and realizing she could do the same. She still fangirls over Serena texting her. That humility and genuine appreciation for those who came before her is appealing to audiences and to publications looking for young leaders who understand they're standing on the shoulders of giants. The Forbes recognition also validates Coco's decision to be more than just a tennis player. She's done fashion collaborations, she's spoken out on social issues, she's been strategic about building her brand beyond the court. Some criticized her for that, saying she should focus only on tennis, but Forbes explicitly recognizing her for being multidimensional proves that the approach was right. You can be an elite athlete and a cultural influencer at the same time. Coco is doing both better than almost anyone in sports. Sabalenka's inability to build that multidimensional profile is entirely self-inflicted. Poor sportsmanship, excuses, and lack of media savvy. That all adds up to someone who might be great at tennis, but isn't the type of person Forbes wants to celebrate as an influential young leader. She had opportunities to handle herself differently, to show growth and maturity, and she chose not to. Now she gets to watch Coco collect recognition she'll never receive. The timing of this announcement, right as tennis season ramps up, is perfect. Sabalenka will see articles about Coco being named Forbes 30 Under 30 everywhere she looks. Every press conference, every interview, someone will bring it up. The constant reminder that Coco is receiving honors unrelated to rankings or recent results has to be eaten away at her. What makes this even more entertaining? There's nothing Sabalenka can do about it. She can't win her way onto the Forbes list. It's not about matches or trophies, it's about influence, impact, and cultural relevance, areas where she's miles behind Coco and falling further behind every time she makes excuses or shows poor sportsmanship. She's locked out of this recognition by our own choices. The Forbes 30 Under 30 list also has long-term implications. People who make this list often go on to even bigger things. It's seen as validation that you're on the right track, building something sustainable and someone to watch over the next decade and beyond. Coco getting this recognition at 21 positions her perfectly for continued growth and influence through her 20s and into her 30s. Her trajectory is pointing up in every way that matters: on-court success, off-court influence, business opportunities, cultural impact. She's checking every box and doing it with maturity and grace that belie her age. Forbes recognizes that as both validation of what she's accomplished and a prediction that she'll continue ascending. That momentum and positive reinforcement are the kinds of things that create dynasty-level careers. Sabalenka's trajectory is murkier. She'll probably keep winning matches when healthy and might collect more Grand Slams, but her off-court ceiling is limited by her behavior and public image. She's not getting Forbes recognition. She won't be seen as a cultural icon. She'll be remembered as a very good tennis player who couldn't get out of her own way in building a legacy beyond match results. The contrast between these two players shows that success in sports isn't just about what you do on the court. It's about how you conduct yourself, how you treat opponents, how you handle adversity, and what you stand for beyond your sport. Coco gets all that. Sabalenka clearly does not. And the Forbes 30 Under 30 list is just the latest proof. Coco Gauff earning a spot proves she's building something way bigger than tennis alone. While Sabalenka might have more recent Grand Slams, she'll never get the cultural recognition Forbes provides because she doesn't have the character or influence this honor celebrates. This is what happens when one player focuses on being great at everything while another focuses on excuses. Smash that like button if you think Coco deserves this recognition, and subscribe for more real talk about sports and culture.